In the first three examples, we were given graphs where the data was already plotted, the linear model was already constructed. Now we want to look at how we construct those linear models along with our data. And in order to do that, we're going to use a tool called Desmos, which we can access at desmos.com. If you've never used this site before, it's free to access. When we visit it, we're just going to click to open the graphing calculator. And then we'll see over on the left, we have fields where we can enter different commands and information, and on the right, a graph, or a coordinate grid. We don't have anything graphed yet. What we're going to do is click the plus icon to add an item, and in this case, we want to add a table. This is going to give us a table with two columns with values for x sub 1 and y sub 1. Flipping back to our problem, what we're going to do is have all of the values in this table for our faculty numbers represented by x1, that column, or we're going to take all those values and plug them into the x1 column, and all the values for our students and plug those into the y1 column. Then what we're going to be doing is constructing a scatter plot that visualizes the data on the number of faculty and students at several different colleges. So we'll start with that, and then eventually in part A, what we're going to build to is creating that linear model for this data. To start off, we're just entering the data values. We can tab or click between these different cells to enter all of the values that were provided for us in the table. Once we have those values entered, we didn't really see anything happening in the coordinate plane over to the right, but that should be because we're looking at the wrong viewing window. We don't have the scale for our graph set correctly. So if we click on this little magnifying glass icon, that's going to zoom fit and show us our points plotted. So it's going to set the scale for the x and y axes. What we've created now is the scatter plot. We have those points plotted, but we don't have a linear model yet. To do that, we're going to click this icon next to our table that says Add Regression. We're going to click on that, and then we get a drop-down menu that lets us select between several different types of regression models. We're going to be creating the linear regression model, which is the linear model for this data. We have the values that are provided for us there. So we end up with the linear model. Y is equal to 18.11688x plus 217.2079. Oh, I'm sorry. 20779. Then what we want to do is, again, use Desmos to calculate the correlation coefficient for this model. Desmos already did that in the single step that we completed before. Below the equation, we see a value for r squared and then lowercase r. That value for lowercase r is what we want as our correlation coefficient. So that's going to be 0.9822. Then we want to interpret the correlation coefficient for this model. We could do this visually. We could see that we have a linear model that's a good fit for those data points. And we see that increasing pattern because we have a positive slope. Or we can focus on just interpreting the value for r that we calculated. Since r is a value that's close to positive 1, this data suggests that as the number of faculty decreases, the number of students changes in some way. What we want to do is interpret what that change should be. In this case, we're told that as the number of faculty decreases, and we know that our correlation coefficient is positive 1, is close to positive 1, that means the two variables are changing in the same direction. So if our value for our faculty members is decreasing, that means our value for students, or our number of students, also has to be decreasing. So as the number of faculty decreases, the number of students also decreases. because that relationship works both ways. The variables change in the same direction when our value for R is close to positive 1. If our number of faculty were increasing, number of students would be increasing, but since we're talking about faculty decreasing, students would also be decreasing following that same pattern, that same behavior.